the eighth episode of the POGcast. Obviously, here we have the normal members Tristan Wong, Adrian Brani, and Krish Lachmandas. And today we're going to be focusing a little more from the deep last episode. We're going to be focusing more on football this time. Obviously, not, I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but I wouldn't say it's a bad thing either. So today we're just going to be talking about, general Premier League teams overperforming, teams underperforming, just a general. So technically, at the moment, from when we're filming this episode, we are into game week 24, if I'm not mistaken, and currently Man City sit on top, and Burnley sit on 19th or 20th.
20th.
20th. All right. So, shall we start this off? Could I have everyone's opinions on the the best performing team so far this season? Like one you think would finish 18th, but is actually like high up in the table. Adrian, would you like to go first? As Tristan clearly stated, he's going to go second again.
So obviously we know that City, Liverpool, of course, they're performing well, and obviously, I think a team which is performing well, unusually, is Brighton. I mean, usually they're a mid-table side, but then they've only had how many defeats? 4 defeats this season so far. This with 12 draws, of course, but that's actually they should be aiming for Europe. What are your opinions, Tristan?
I also think that Liverpool and Man City are having a very good season. Obviously, Man City especially. They've already won the league as of January, so I think that's a very impressive achievement for Man City, for a team that's been very dominant and is playing consistently well. So I think that's very impressive. And I think another very shocking result in the Premier League table is Man United. I'm not sure how they're fifth. I think this is a team that can push for top three, especially with the quality they have in the team. However, the attitude of the players, such as Rashford and the Fridge Maguire, has been not up to par, to say the least. So I think this is some things and some problems within the United team that have to change if United have to push for the top three. And I also think that doing surprisingly well is also Arsenal in the Premier League. I think they've been dead for a couple of seasons, but this season they really are coming to life with the likes of Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, and a bunch of other very good players. So I think it'll be an exciting season to watch for the rest of the 3 months left. What about you, Krish?
I mean, for me, I look at the table and there's only one thing that doesn't sit right with me. Well, not only one thing. Obviously, underrate Burnley at your peril, but I believe Everton are not where they should be. They're underperforming massively. And they have got some reinforcements in Frank Lampard, obviously, as the new manager. Donny van de Beek, Dele Alli, just to name a few. I think they're going to have a better second half to the season, but sitting in 16th over halfway through the season just doesn't sit right with me.
Okay, thank you. All of you did not even answer. I asked you which team is performing the best, the team you thought would be underperforming but is overperforming. Adrian and Tristan just answered Man City, which is a team that always performs, and you, Chris, just answered.
Mate.
What do you say?
I said Brighton.
You said Brighton.
Oh, that's my bad. I didn't hear you. And Chris, you literally answered the opposite of what I was asking. But it's okay. Could I have Chris and Tristan now a team which is you think is doing better than where they you think they'd normally be? Tristan and Chris.
As I mentioned earlier, I really think that Arsenal are doing very well. Not to say that Arsenal are a bad team, but then in the past few seasons, I think they've done enough to prove that they are quite a terrible team. So starting, I think, the end of last season and throughout this season, they really have showed quite a very good, consistent run of results. And I think that the young prospects within the Arsenal team are something that will make them shine in the upcoming months. So I do have hope for Arsenal. I think they would be able to secure a Europa League spot, or maybe or push for the Conference League. So I think that Arsenal is definitely a team that surprised me, and I think they will do very well in the future.
For me, if I had to name a team that I wouldn't expect to sit in their position right now, overperforming, as you would say, for me would be West Ham, because now they're in Europe. They're in the big stage now, but I don't see them having the depth that the other sides do, their oppositions, but they're sitting in fourth, which is a UCL spot, and that's very, very surprising to me because although I believe West Ham are a very strong team with a robust starting lineup, I don't know about their squad depth. I believe that other teams like Man United and even Arsenal or Spurs have a greater squad depth than Arsenal, but than West Ham. My apologies, but West Ham sit above them in the table. I mean, David Moyes has done a brilliant job with this side, and Jared Bowen is smashing in everything right now. So props to West Ham.
What about you, Arjun?
Well said, Adrian. I think a team that is currently performing better than I would have expected is Wolverhampton Wanderers. Why are you laughing, Tristan? Anyway, yeah, Wolverhampton Wanderers is a team that I think are performing much better than I expected them to. Obviously, they lost their main manager Nuno over the summer, as well as crucial striker Diego Jota, and also they didn't have Raul Jimenez due to head injury. So I thought their attack would be quite shaky, and currently it is. They've barely scored many goals. They've only scored around 1.3 goals a game, which is quite low compared to other teams in the Premier League. But their defense has gotten much, much better since last season. Last season, I think they conceded about 60 goals. This season, they're only conceded 22 goals in about 25 games, which is less goals than games, which is an amazing ratio at the moment, considering, you wouldn't expect them to be in this position. Obviously, I think it's because, they have size has become more of a crucial defender. He's learned and he's developed in the Premier League over the past few years. He's become much better. Obviously, and also another crucial part of the defense, I think, is Jose Sa. Last year, Wolves had Rui Patricio. Obviously, I think he's a world class keeper like myself, but he didn't have that. He didn't. How would I say this? He didn't save shots, which you would expect to be saved. His XG clearly showed that. And I think the signing of Jose Za's his distribution is exquisite. He has some nice long balls and nice side volleys, and as well as that, he has some nice saves. He can get down there low, unlike Rui Patricio, and he just gets them up there high as well. That's why there's only 22 goals. I think Wolves are doing brilliant at the moment. 8th place, higher than Tottenham right now. I think they can overtake Man U as well. I think they can solidly finish in a Europa League spot above Man United. I think this is very possible for Wolves. That they're looking quite good right now. Yeah. So, going to what Chris told me about Everton before, Tristan and Adrian, what team do you think is currently underperforming in the Premier League at the moment?
Obviously, there are many teams underperforming, like Burnley, who we expected, and obviously Manchester United. Also, obviously, they brought in Ronaldo, Sancho, and all these expensive signings, but then clearly aren't doing well. So I personally think it's not Ole's problem or Ragnick's, but it's actually the players' mentality. Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree with Adrian. I think two teams that have really come to my mind for underperforming is United and Chelsea. I think Chelsea is a bit of a different situation to United because, yes, obviously they just won the Club World Cup, but then in the Premier League, they aren't doing the best. They are in third place, but quite a few points off the top. So I'd say they're not in the best position. And I think that Chelsea started the season off very well with a bunch of new signings like Lukaku and Thiago Silva. Yeah, and a bunch of others. And I think
sorry guys, you're listening to the podcast.
I think the players are just fatigued. It's a very tough and grueling season, and I think that's why they've been underperforming. But I think having the chance to refresh over the international break and going to Dubai for the Club World Cup to relax a little bit. So I think they will come back stronger. And whereas for United, I also agree with Adrian. It's a problem with the players' mentality. And in particular, I don't hate Rashford, but I think that Rashford has a serious problem. He could be going through some personal issues at the moment. I acknowledge that. But I think Marcus Rashford has kind of lost his way with football. especially with all this work he's doing for feeding the homeless children. I feel like perhaps he may be putting more time and effort into that than improving with his football, which the attitude is great, but it's important to remember that he's a footballer at heart. So I think if players like Rashford are able to fix their mentality, United could be back in pursuit for the top three in the Premier League this season.
Well said, well said. And also, I just want to apologize for that loud bang which was just made. I was actually playing with my football and I'd hit my laptop, made a loud sound. Obviously, I was on mute, so none of the other podcasts heard that. But if you're listening to this podcast, which is very likely, I'm very sorry for that. Anyway, for a team which is underperforming, I honestly have to go with the same view as Chris. Everton, world class team. I would have said Aston Villa as underperforming, but now they're starting to perform again, which is also the same case as Everton. They've made some new signings, they're starting to perform, but I just don't. I know. I just don't see that spark in Everton yet. They lost last week, unlike Aston Villa. Aston Villa have been winning the last few weeks because they had great signings like Philip Coutinho, who has been vital. His loan signing, he's made some amazing through balls, amazing goals. He's vital. But Everton, yeah. Donny van de Beek and Dele Alli. I mean, Donny van de Beek is a great player in my opinion. United just a shambolic club. They don't know how to treat players and they don't know how to get results as well. Donny van de Beek is performing at Everton like massively for his last two games. Dele Alli on the other hand, I mean, no, he's just like he used to be very good at the age of like 20, 21, but then he primed then. Now he's shambolic. I'm sorry, but he can't do anything on the football pitch, which is good. He's just Dele Alli now, innit? But yeah, I mean, I think Everton they're underperforming right now. I think the best case for them that they finished mid-table this season because they had a rocky start to the start of the campaign. I think next season they can really push up the table. Same for Newcastle and Aston Villa. Aston Villa, if they get Coutinho on a full base signing, otherwise I don't think they'll be able to stay up, not up, but like stay up the table if you know what I mean. Everton, I think they can finish between. I think they can finish in a conference spot. And Newcastle, Newcastle have got some amazing signings just in the winter as well. Imagine what they can do in the summer transfer market. I think they can genuinely move up to Europa League spots by next season from the relegation zone this year. It's like insane. They'll definitely make it past relegation this season. Yeah, and I think they'll definitely make it up. Um, so yeah, this is just. I'm just gonna focus on this. I'm just gonna ask all three of you this. Do you think Liverpool? Do you think Liverpool will be able to like stop Man City's dominance of the Premier League? Like they've been dominating for the last few seasons. Do you think Liverpool or any other team, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, or any other team, do you think it's possible they could stop Man City's like terrific what am I saying? Sorry, Premier League run. It could be similar to Sir Alex Ferguson's United. Same for Pep. I think this is very likely, and it could even be better because he's just dominating the Premier League with his immense squad depth. So I'd like to get your views on this. Anyone?
Obviously, the short answer, I think it's not right now, but in the future, perhaps, because obviously City, they just keep getting better and better. Like, obviously, with the signing of Ruben Diaz, they strengthened their defense, and now they're not even conceding any goals. And the attack, if they get a striker, obviously they still haven't gotten one, then I think they just get unstoppable. But if their players manage to actually perform and listen to the manager and not moan every single time like Ronaldo, then I think we have a chance.
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question, Arjun?
Yes, I was just saying, do you think there could be any other team which could like stop Man City's dominance in the Premier League over the past few seasons? I think it could really turn. I think Pep could turn his Man City into what Sir Alex Ferguson did with United, even better. So I'm just asking: do you think in the near future, do you think anyone can match Pep's team or even beat them out in the next few seasons, causing this dominance to end?
I think if there's one team, it could be Liverpool, but at the moment, I don't think it's looking likely because Man City have, as Adrian said, a very strong squad depth. They are strong in every position, and I think another really important thing is that they they always have tunnel vision as to what they want to achieve next, so they don't get complacent. And I think that's a really important mentality that Pep Guardiola has instilled within them, and they are always looking to do better and play better. And I think in the near future, no one is going to overtake Man City because they play very well together as a team. And I think if they keep adding players within the team, it'll further improve the squad depth. And I think that they are a team to look out for in the future. So I really don't think any team would be able to overtake them. But if there was one, it might be Liverpool. But I think that's a very slim chance.
Well, I personally think that all of you are looking at this the wrong way. I think there's one team that can easily overtake Man City in the near future, and that team is Chelsea. I mean, they have so many youthful prospects having breakthrough seasons, and they have all these players going out on loan, such as Conor Gallagher, Timo Livramento, who they sold to Southampton. You can just see Chelsea's academy is so brilliant. They have Callum Hudson-Odoi breaking through, and Mason Mount and Reece James as well, obviously, just to name a few. I think Chelsea have a very, very solid squad with a brilliant manager in Thomas Tuchel. But even then, looking specifically at this season, Liverpool, sitting in second, have one game in hand on Man City. If they do win that game, they're only 6 points behind Man City, and they still have a game against Man City. So that's a huge 6-pointer to look forward to. Liverpool versus Man City. If Liverpool do win that, they're only 3 points behind Man City. So I don't think it's that difficult at this stage. But I do think, obviously, City, as strong as they are, will still hold on to the title this season. But do not underrate Liverpool because they are a brilliant team. And sitting just 6 points behind Man City if they win a game in hand with a game against Man City, that's a very solid position for Liverpool. So I don't know, but I do think Man City will win this season. But in the near future, definitely Chelsea is a team to look out for.
Yeah.
So you said Callum Hudson-Odoi is a breakthrough player with 15 games, and he's only scored 1 goal. So I don't know what you mean by breakthrough.
Well, if you want to talk breakthrough, let's talk about Mason Greenwood. Okay, so Callum Hudson-Odoi played 15 games, 1 goal. All right. I'm saying he's breaking through because he's youthful. He's coming into the games. He's playing games. He's finally playing games. He hasn't been playing games in the past few seasons, and that's a huge step for Callum Hudson-Odoi. And in a few years, you can see with the player that Thomas Tuchel is shaping him up to become, he's going to be a real threat in a few seasons. And I think that's going to be with most of the Chelsea team. If you look at Conor Gallagher, for example, at Crystal Palace right now, obviously on loan from Chelsea. But once he comes back, I even think he could break through into the squad over a Jorginho or a Kovacic, because Conor Gallagher has become that strong with the way Chelsea have managed him and sent him out on loan to all these different clubs, giving him this experience. I think Chelsea have done it brilliantly, and I think in the near future, Chelsea is a very, very dangerous team.
Krish, do you
one
think
second,
that...
Tristan. Just 1 second.
I apologize, Mr.
Actually, you can. I'll let you go first, Mr. Wong. You can continue what you're about to say to Mr. Latrandas.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Latrandas. So, what are your opinions on Chelsea, who have been said to be a bit ruthless to their youthful prospects in the past, or even present, where they just loan everyone out? Do you think this is a good move, or is it perhaps a bit harsh on the Chelsea players?
Pointing out on, continuing on Tristan's point, actually, there's been a new rule UEFA have adapted that the clubs in the future, so from next season actually, clubs will only be allowed to loan out and in 8 players. That's it. 8 players both ways, max. Which is obviously going to be a huge blow for Chelsea, because at the moment they have 37 players out on loan. So this whole new system adapted by UEFA, they're trying to make it only, by 2025-26 season, they only want 6 people going in and out of the club max, just to make it more fair for other clubs. Yes. So basically, yeah, this is the whole point, purpose of it. It's just so that clubs don't have to hold on to these players, keeping them in contracts, stuff like that. So this new rule adapted is really going to change the game because yeah, as Tristan said, it's going to like put Deadwood in their club. They have to either like release them or they have to, they can only loan a 8 players out. Yeah, sorry, I'm mumbling right now, but you get what I mean. This is going to change Chelsea's whole prospect of loaning youth players out and then coming back in. So this is a big problem. It's going to be for Chelsea in the future. They won't be able to loan all these players. So, Krish, sorry, Tristan, could you say what you said to Krish originally? Because I think I just made him forget, unless he does remember.
Do you remember, Mr. Latrandas?
In fact, I do remember. I believe you asked me whether this is a good move by Chelsea or a mistake, and I definitely think not only for footballing wise, but for Roman Abramovich and as a long term business move, it is a very good move because uh, bringing these players in for almost nothing from the academy, uh, and then selling them off for millions after a few years, that makes them a lot of money, and that's where they can spend on the team to get players such as Kante as they have from Leicester or Lukaku as they have from Inter. Um, and those are the big players you need in your team. You definitely need if you want to be one of the best teams in the world and win the Champions League and win the Club World Cup as Chelsea have. You need those types of players, and I feel like buying Kai Havertz for them was a very good move. Although they did spend quite a lot, he'll be a very very dangerous player and one to look out for in the next few years. And this is what makes Chelsea such a dangerous team, and definitely one in the near future to overtake Man City. I feel.
Interesting point made. Well, that wraps up another episode of the podcast. We had a very interesting discussion today. We'd like to give a special shout out to Luke Kim and Ritul Sukraman. They're just two cute guys living their life. And they've helped with this podcast, getting research for us. So thank them, and I hope they get their cheeks. Like, I could clap their cheeks in the future, just like as an applause. So yes, thank you once again for watching the 8th official podcast episode. Hopefully we get one more episode in before this all ends, but who knows? Let's see. Thank you, Tristan Wong, Agent Bajani, and Chris Lachman for giving the time in to come to the episode. And thank you guys, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.